Hey everyone, Pratiti Pathak here. Welcome to Unpacking Brain Drama, where we talk about real life experiences, the challenges, and the obstacles. Sometimes we use them to block ourselves, sometimes we use them to grow and evolve. Here's what I want to say: obstacles are not the things blocking our path, obstacles are the path. So, in other words, we have to grow through what we go through. So, join me as we have some amazing conversations with some amazing guests. Let's go. Oh, what's up, Wednesday? I was having some technical problems. It was telling me that I didn't have permission to go live on the Facebooks. So I'm like, let me in. So what's up? It's the middle of your week. It is the middle of your morning, and we are going to unpack some brain drama today. So welcome. Thank you guys for being with me every single week. I love you guys. So for those of you who are new to me, I talk really fast and I try to pack in as much as I can. Sometimes I glitch on the internet, so I look a little bit robotic. But every week I try to come on here and either bring a really cool guest with me, or sometimes you guys are just stuck with me and we are doing a solo episode again today. And I want to talk a little bit about that it's the end of the year. I know I'm going to be saying this all for the next few weeks anyway, till the end of the year. Like, we're already the last day of November. So for today, I know that it can be a really busy day for some of you guys because you are doing all the things at your jobs, especially if you're somebody who does bookkeeping kind of stuff. Oh, right? Because I know that you guys are super busy. So today I want to talk a little bit about awareness. And what I mean by that is personal awareness, like awareness about ourselves personally. Excuse me. I think I'm going to take a drink of water. Starts all morning long. This is the thing that I go through. So when it comes to awareness, I think that especially today, so many of us are spending a lot of time being aware and spending time being aware, having awareness around and focusing on the things that are going on outside of us, right? What's going on in the world, or maybe what's going on with our government. For some of you who are super gossipy, maybe you guys are thinking about, what's going on with your favorite people out there in the world, like your actresses and actors and musicians or something like that, right? So for those of you who are spending time thinking about what's going on out there, we're not spending very much time thinking about what's going on in here. So I know for me, most of my life, I could tell you what songs I really love, but very rarely could I tell you who was singing them, right? Unless it was, I'm a product of the 80s. So unless it was like Michael Jackson or Madonna or, Whitney or anybody like that, I really did not know who it was. And I certainly could tell you different actors and actresses that I liked, but usually I knew them by like the role that they played in their movies, not necessarily by what their actual real name was. And certainly for sure not who they were married to, or how many times they were married or divorced, or how many kids they had, or anything like that. And I think about that. Like, I wonder, like, why do we do the things that we do in that way? Like, why are we always thinking about what's going on with everybody else, or what's going on in the world or the government and things like that, and just things outside of us? Like, I think that we think we need to know what's going on out there in the world and with other people, our government, what's going on with the Kardashians or anybody else. I think we do that because somehow we think that knowing that information will make us know, like, it makes us think about like what is out there that's going to be affecting us in our lives and or our children's lives, what's going to be affecting them. And when I think about that question, I want to ask you that question: is it true? Right? So let's get back a little bit to the awareness piece and that question. Is it true that by being hyper focused about what's going on in the world and what's going on with other people and anything that's going on in our environment or things outside of us, is that what's going to have the greatest effect on us and our lives and with our children? Or is what's going on in here, in our own brain, and what we're doing on a regular basis, that's going to have the most effect on us and our lives and our children, if you have children? When you think about it, like, yes, I totally get it, right? Our environment absolutely has a major effect on us and how we think about things and how we feel about things, and ultimately how we behave and why, right? Why is that? It's because we allow it. We allow the outside to affect us, right? We welcome it. We even seek it out. Even especially today when we have so much access to social media and tech, like you guys are on here right now listening to me and allowing me to affect you and your morning and your day. Hopefully I'm not creating a negative atmosphere for you, right? Hopefully you're coming to me for feeling positivity and then thinking positive thoughts, thinking and feeling positive thoughts, and then going out there and doing positive behavior, right? Like for some of you that know me, and if you don't, you should. For some of you that are working with me, and if you're not, you should. I talk a lot about our programming and our social conditioning through the things that are outside of us. I talk about being on autopilot, right? What does that actually even mean, right? It means that the things that we learn and form our belief systems around come from our environment, right? And who gets to actually determine what is in our environment? Like, who gets to decide that for us, right? Who chooses that for us? Who chooses what is in our environment and what we keep out of our environment, right? And depending on how old you are, right? If you're somebody who's young, hopefully you're not on the Facebook at this age, right? Hopefully you're in school right now. But if you're watching this back as a recording, you might be somebody who maybe lives in the house still with your parents. So if you're whether you're a child in school, whether you're a teenager or even a young adult, maybe your parents are still in control of your in-house environment, right? So maybe they still make up the rules for you, depending on how old you are. But that doesn't mean that you have zero control. You still have lots of control over what you allow into your environment when it comes to what you choose to let in or keep out on the television, what you choose to watch on TV, what you choose to watch or listen to as far as things on the social media, on the YouTubes and on the Instagram reels and all of those platforms, right? What you choose to listen to on the radio and music wise, like you get to still decide who your friends are, who your friends are not. You get to decide who you get to hang around with and who you expose yourself to, whether it's in person or on these digital platforms, television, music, all of that. Like you get to decide that, right? So regardless of how old you are, this is how we form our beliefs, is by the things we learn, and we learn by the things that we listen to and what we allow in. So back to awareness. How do we become more aware of what we are currently doing and where that's leading us? So I think that's a bigger question, right? Because when it comes to becoming aware about the different things in our lives, what I want us to focus on, and I'm going to just move this around because I can't see properly, but regardless of your age, how do you become and how do you continue to be aware of your patterns of thinking that lead to your patterns of feelings, feeling your emotions on a regular, and then drive all of your behavioral patterns, right? So I'm going to read, let me get this up here. I'm going to read a quote, and I know it's going to be so amazing because I'm Indian, and the person I'm going to read this quote from is also Indian. It is Gandhi, and it is a famous quote. It's one that most of us know or have heard. And before I even read the quote, I'm going to tell you that I had gotten this quote from a friend of mine, literally a week and a half or so before my son's accident, before I lost my son. And I had shared it with my son, Devin, and he, after reading it, was like, that is the most amazing thing I've ever read. So I'm going to read you the quote. It's by Gandhi. And the quote is, your thoughts become your beliefs become your words become your actions become habits, your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. Right? When I read that, I just thought the same thing as Devin. I was just like, that's amazing. Like, I don't know that I learned this in school, but I think it's so important to be mindful for those reasons, right? Like, when you think about it, what you think about is what creates. The one thing that's not in here is what you think about becomes what you talk about on the regular, right? You're thinking and you're talking, which creates how you feel. It creates your emotions. And when I talk about emotions, it is literally the fuel that drives all of that action, the behavior. And when we do things on a regular, when we behave in a certain way all the time on a regular basis, whether it's a pattern that we're doing, it's a routine, it's a habit, that is what creates the habit. And then that is what ultimately creates your core values and takes you to your destiny, right? It creates all of your results at the end. So I think it's so important to be mindful of what we are allowing in and keeping out. I'm always going to include them together, what we allow in and what we keep out of our mind and our body, right? If we are thinking about our body and our minds in like they're important things, then we're going to pay more attention to what we allow in and what we keep out, like what advice we allow in and what advice we keep out when it comes to what we think about and how we think what we should do and how we should behave in a relationship, whether it's with, our intimate partner or other people in the world. I'm going to do this little exercise with you guys, right? I'm going to have a little exercise that we're going to do. Let me just turn this thing off because it's distracting me right now. I am going to have you guys write down some questions. So I'm going to give you a little exercise to see how you can become more aware of what you're doing in your life, what you're doing in different areas. So before I talk about these questions or ask you these questions, you can either write them down, or you can watch this recording back after the Facebook police has made sure that all of my content was legal. Then they will allow it to become a recording on my page. And so far, I've been good. So before we get to the questions, I want to share with you the 10 areas of your life that I think are super important to focus on. Now, these are 10 areas. They're specific, but they're also general, meaning like you can still deep dive and dissect them even further. Like the deeper you go, the more you dissect each area of your life and take a look at it separately from every other area and just only focus each area at a time. I think that's when we can really create amazing results for ourselves in our lives. So before we get to the questions, here's the 10 areas. Your physical health and fitness, meaning your nutritional health, your physical, body size, your ideal weight, all of the things, right? How we move our bodies and exercise, all of that, like your physical health and fitness. Your mental health, meaning your intellectual health, like your brain, right? Your thoughts. Your emotional health, which comes from your intellectual, your mental thinking health, right? Your spiritual life, where are you? Who are you in this world, in the universe? Like, where are you in proportion to your higher power, if you have one, right? So take a look at that. Let's go to your relationships, your intimate relationship. Okay, here's a very specific area of your life to take a look at, your intimate relationship with your significant other. If you have one, and if you don't, then like, what does that look like? What are you doing to have one, or what are your thoughts about having one? Second, next area is your family. So extended family, parents, siblings, your immediate family, your extended family, cousins, your parenting or mentoring. If you don't have children, what are your thoughts about having children, or maybe children that you've had? Like for me, I had a son that had a fatal accident, so I'm not currently parenting him, though I am mentoring, right? I'm still an influence and impact other young human beings in my life. I have nieces that range in all the different ages. The next area is your social life, your friends, your networking people that you hang out with, whether it's for personal or for business or in your community, or how you contribute to your social atmosphere or your community. Okay, so contributions are part of that. Last two areas, of course, are your business or your work or your career, whatever you're doing to make money in the world, or whatever you're doing for work. And then your financial life. So these are the 10 areas. Now let's get to the questions. Okay, just going to ask you like a few questions, and I want you to write them down or take a look at them later, go back to the recording. And if you're listening to this on the podcast episode, pause between them if you want to, however it makes sense for you. And here they are. Number one, and this is for each area you're going to ask these questions. Okay, so number one, what are my current habits in this area of my life, right? What's the routine that I'm doing? What is my daily practice, or maybe a weekly practice, or something that you're doing regularly for this area of your life? And pay attention to if you don't have a practice and need to put one in place. Okay, that's question number one. Number two, what is the benefit of this practice? What is the short-term benefit of this practice, right? If any, maybe there is, right? If you have a daily practice of, hitting your local donut place, coffee shop on your way to work, and you are buying a donut every single day on your way in, or a latte or some real sugary drink, what is the benefit of that practice that you're doing every day, if any at all? Now, there may be. Maybe it wakes you up in the morning. Maybe it gets you going in the morning. Maybe it brings you some small piece of happiness or joy. Maybe it's that dopamine hit. Maybe it's that sugar hit. Maybe there is some benefit to that. Next question to ask is, what is the long-term benefit or effect, right? If any. Like maybe there's a short-term benefit, but is there a long-term benefit? Or is there a long-term effect that maybe you don't want to be having? So take a look at what the short-term benefit is and what the long-term benefit is. If you're somebody that exercises regularly, maybe there's a short-term benefit of like clearing your mind every day and committing to yourself. And then the long-term benefit is the bigger thing, because the long-term benefit is about longevity and being in a healthy body, or being in your healthy body weight or your ideal body weight. Maybe it's keeping inflammation down. And then the last question I want you to ask yourself is, where will this lead if I continue this pattern, this behavior, this habit, this regular practice? Whether it's a daily practice, a weekly practice, that part isn't as important. But if you're doing something on a consistent basis, Like I check my bank balance on a consistent basis. I monitor my spending on a consistent basis. It doesn't necessarily matter as much whether it's being done daily, weekly, every other day, 3 times. That part doesn't matter. It's a matter of what are you currently doing on a regular basis. And if you notice in one of these areas that you don't have something that you're doing on a regular basis, maybe that's where the attention needs to be put, right? So next week, I'm going to talk about this again, but in a different way. I'm going to ask you a different set of questions to focus on. So now, I really want you to do this exercise. And if you don't do it right now, then I want you to do it right after now. Meaning, like at the end of the day, watch the recording back. Make sure you come back and do this exercise, because I guarantee it will bring such great awareness, but real deep clarity on why you're creating some of the results that you got going on in your life right now. And if you want to set yourself up for success in this new year, and I want to tell you something right before I go any further, is you do not need to wait for a new year. Maybe success in this new week, this new month, this new day. Like, do not wait for a date on the calendar to dictate when you make changes in your life. The moment you recognize that you would like to make a change, you just go ahead and do it. It doesn't matter if it's the middle of the month. It doesn't matter if it's the middle of the year, the middle of the week. It doesn't matter if it's the middle of the day. Right now, we're coming up to the middle of the day, and maybe you just got some new awareness after watching this and you want to implement something. You don't have to wait until tomorrow. You don't have to wait until the beginning of January 1 of 2023. You can start it right away. Okay, so I'll leave you with one more quote, also from Gandhi. But here's what it says. The future depends on what you do today. And I want to just add to that quote. So now it doesn't become Gandhi's quote anymore. It becomes Pratiti's. But it's the future depends on what you do today consistently. That's the key. What you do today doesn't matter if you don't continue doing it, if it's something that's going to lead you somewhere. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't make something really great happen today that's going to be really great for today. But if you do that same great thing for today and you keep doing it for tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, it's great all the time. And the compound effect of a great thing makes it spectacular and amazing. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. And I want you to interact with me. I want you to engage with me. Like, this is why I'm on here consistently. This is why I'm on here on a regular basis. I'm here every week to support you guys. I love all of your support back to me. There are so many times, it's why I get distracted during the time that I'm doing it, is because I see, DMs that will come in. I see private text messages that will come in because some of you guys don't like posting it on there. But I want you to interact with me. Send me a note. Tell me some of your practices. Tell me that you did this exercise and the awareness that you got from it. I love hearing from you guys. And I love when you interact with me this way, because that is the whole point. I want to connect with you and I want to engage with you on a very deep and personal level. I love you guys so much. And I appreciate you all coming on here every week. I appreciate all you guys that go on there afterwards and watch the recording, because I know it's the middle of your work week and it's the middle of your work day. And for some of you guys, I guess work is more important than watching me live, but I appreciate you so much. I love all the support that I get from you guys, and I want you guys all to know how much I love you too. So have a beautiful rest of your week. And I want you guys to just have more awareness around our lives, because the rest of the world just wants you to have awareness on their lives. And forget about your own. It's a way to distract yourself from yourself, because the last thing we want to do sometimes is take a look at ourselves, because we might find inconsistencies, we might find inadequacies. And it's a way that we use that against ourselves to like lay blame and shame on ourselves or the rest of the world. But I want you to know, accountability doesn't come from other people holding you accountable. Accountability comes from you yourself, holding yourself accountable. And you can't do it if you're not aware of what in the actual heck you're doing on a regular basis. If your work life isn't going well, if your family life isn't going well, if your relationships aren't going well, if money's not going well, your physical health or whatever it is that's struggling in your life right now, it could be because you're putting too much attention and too much awareness on what's going on outside of you, instead of focusing more inwardly on what's going on inside of you, because what goes on in here is what comes out of here. So I love you guys, and I look forward to being with you next week. Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening to Unpacking Brain Drama podcast. You'll find links for all the things mentioned below in the show notes. And it would be incredibly awesome if you would take a quick moment to leave a review on iTunes or wherever you listen. If you'd like to be considered as a guest on our podcast, be sure to go to www.resultsbydesigncoaching.com for a free 30-minute coaching session. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.